Good evening, everyone. We are the Gratitude Girls.
The Gratitude Girls are in the house. Hi, Laurie.
Hi, Kathryn.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. I got the memo not to wear black, but I didn't get the memo for the very festive. I thought for me, this was like a big deal. I went from black to this. So I want to say thank you. Thank you for cheering us up tonight. I'm really excited about what we have ahead of us. And I thought I'd sort of change things up tonight because I know you love when I surprise you without saying anything. I want to talk to our audience a little bit tonight about how we met and why we're here and how we're here. So I'm going to recap my version first, and then you can say as it feels for you or as it felt for you. I love to go through the story for those of you who are new to our show tonight. My name is Kathryn Asaro Myers. I'm speaking to you from Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, Canada, and I am affectionately known as Rara. And my partner is Laurie Delk Radecki. I'll introduce you. And she's speaking to us from Columbia, Tennessee. And Laurie and I met. I'm going to tell you a friendly love story. Laurie and I met on stage. We were in Salt Lake City. We did not know one another. We were both attending our company's convention in 2013. Laurie had attended many conventions, many more than I had at that point, and I had attended a few conventions. And there's a theme for each year, and that year it was called gratitude, and that really resonated with me. So we got on a plane and we went to Salt Lake City, Utah. And while we were in the audience, so there's an award that is given every year. Back in the days when we used to get on a plane and go to conventions, now things are different. And when Cody announced my name, I remember like it happened 2 seconds ago. My knees felt weak and I thought, how am I going to stand up? But it was part of my I am statements. I wrote this, I thought it, I dreamt it, I said it to myself that I was going to be on stage with Cody Bateman. And when that moment happened, everything flashed in front of me. Like, this is exactly what I saw. Get to that stage. And I got up there and Cody was amazing and explaining, like, so how we won this award was we were nominated by our peers of over 150 or 60,000 different people nominated me. But for that year, there was a tie, and so was Laurie nominated. So after Cody, and this video is on our website, after Cody spoke to me up on stage, he very politely asked me to step aside. I remember that. It's a really cute part on the video. He said, could you stand here and look pretty? It's like, move over because the next person is coming up. And then he announced Laurie's name. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to meet Laurie Delk at that time. Laurie is the woman who has received accolades from our company about giving the most gifts year after year in send out cards. And I thought, what would it be like to meet this woman? I had been wanting to meet her since I was in that company, 2009. And now here was my opportunity. And Laurie comes up on stage. And it was at that instant, there was some magical instant connection. So I stood aside while Laurie came up on stage and received her award. And then we both walked off stage together. And I remember Laurie hit the ground, hit the first step first, and I came right after her, and we gave each other our hands. And there was a charge, there was something that we felt, and we spent the rest of the weekend together because we were VIP and we won the Gratitude Award. And in about, I'm going to say 60 seconds, Gratitude Girls was born because we knew we wanted to do something. And we knew we wanted to do something about gratitude. Is that how it felt for you, Laurie?
Yes, you did it perfectly.
Thank you. I know that I always listen to what you're saying, and then I'm so excited to say, I remember how I felt. And reliving that moment is really special for me and for us. So this is why we have this show, why you're watching this show tonight is we met on stage, we felt an electric charge, we felt an energetic charge, and then we have the good fortune to meet people and to speak to them and to hear their gratitude stories. So I'm very grateful to you, Laurie, and to Cody for introducing us without having that as his master plan, but somehow there it was. And I'm so happy that you and I have decided for 8 years now to host this show. And once a month, no matter what day the fourth Tuesday falls on, we are here with awesome people. Just time flies. But tonight, we have the good fortune to have what I would call an amazing man. You might get the impression that that S is for Superman, but really that S is for Shiraz. So I'll tell you a little bit about Shiraz in terms of a media post, and then I'll tell you something personal. Shiraz is an award-winning author, international speaker, and a reality shifting specialist. Shiraz has helped thousands of people to rewrite their reality. He teaches you to recognize that the reality that you live in is just the stories that you've been taught about life. And he shows you how to change any or all of those stories, resulting in more happiness, improved career, and better relationships. On a personal note, I'd like to say that I consider Shiraz a friend, and I am very grateful that you have decided to join us here. Welcome, Shiraz.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
This is an exciting time of year for people. We're wrapping it up, so to speak, where some of us are already ahead in the future. Some of us are, oh my gosh, the year is here already, and what do I do with it? And I know that you speak to people on a regular basis, but I'm wondering if you could bring a sense of who you are, not as Shiraz, the icon, but as Shiraz in what do you do in your day-to-day life? Tell us a little bit about your life today.
That's just funny as no one's ever said Shiraz the icon before. So that's a neat way to describe things. But me day to day, it's, well, I start the day waking up and cuddling with my dog. And I think that's a wonderful way to start any day. And then it's just on and getting up, having some fun, having some quiet time. I always start with something that makes me smile, whether it's music or listening to something funny, because I think that sets the tone for the day. And I remember one time I was got up, got ready, started walking my dog and called one of my best friends. And I was making the worst dad jokes ever. And she said, "You're laughing way too hard at yourself." And I'm like, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. Why can't I have fun and laugh? I think I want to start my day this way. And yeah, and then from there, just go through the day, take care of my clients, have some meetings, and try to shift as many realities as possible, and then chill in the evening again and have more fun, and usually read, and either something to entertain me or something to educate me. I alternate book after book. It's always an educational book and then an entertainment book.
And along with what, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Along with what I've learned about you, what I am learning about you is that you have a very satirical sense of humor. Would that make sense?
Yes, yes. And this is something that has been brought up a few times with people, because what I do is very, very kind of spiritual, not kind of, it's spiritual. But I'm sarcastic and tell dad jokes, and people say, like, you don't talk like a spiritual person, right? You don't say love and light and let's all just be one. You like say, what the hell is wrong with you? And just talk like a real person. I'm like, well, that way more real people can relate to me. Some people go into reaction when they get all the spiritual mumbo jumbo. And I try to find that middle ground where you're like, oh, that's how spirituality can work. Cool.
Well, when you speak to people, I know you have to adapt and adjust as well.
Mhm.
because you happen to have this very interesting way of receiving the gifts from people, and maybe we'll call it receiving the energy. Can you tell us a little bit about this gift that you have, and how did you realize that you had this ability, skill, gift?
So everyone's got it. So that's the interesting thing. I know a lot of people say, wow, you've got this amazing gift. I'm like, no, I train people in it. Anyone can do it. So it's just that I've played with it longer, that when I use it, people are like, oh my God, look what you can do. And I think the very first time I had a feeling about it was 8 years old. And my dad was looking for something. He didn't even know what at the time. So he was taking us to all these workshops. And we went to a Native American workshop, and we went to a brain enhancing workshop and a spirituality, and we just kept going. And one of the things we went to was called the Silva Mind Control Workshop. And I think it's called the Silva Method now, but it was called Silva Mind Control. We were freaking out. I'm 8 years old. Mind control? You can't take me to mind control. And he goes, no, no, it's to teach you to control your mind. I'm like, they should name it something different. That doesn't sound good. And it was 3 days, and it was really good, actually. I use some of the techniques to this day on how to get centered, get into a meditative state, just reach inside to get information, and improve your memory, improve your focus. So it was a really great class. But the last exercise they made us do, when he described it, I thought, what the hell does this have to do with focus, concentration, all that stuff? And it was, get a partner, and the partner is going to think of someone in their life that is sick in some way, maybe an injury, maybe an illness, whatever it is. And you have to figure out what that issue is. And I'm like, what? And so he said, so you've been taught how to get into that mental state, sort of like a mental temple, get into it, and then imagine that person across from you and tell us what's wrong with that person. And then they put me together with this guy, and I'm 8 years old and he's 40. So I'm like, oh, I got to work with the old guy. And and he said, okay, I'm thinking of my sister. She's got a problem. So I said, okay. And I imagined seeing his sister. And I said, I don't see anything wrong with your sister. And the facilitator came up and he said, okay, if you don't see anything wrong, just imagine going up to her, taking her head off, putting her head on your head, so you're getting inside her head and you can see what's going on. And I said, okay, that's weird, but I will do that. And so I imagined doing that. And as soon as I did it, I started having problems breathing. And they looked at me and go, are you okay? I said, I don't know. It's just hard to breathe. It's like I've got asthma or something. And the guy says, that's it. She's got asthma. You're right. And I was like, oh, that's just weird. Right. So that was my first encounter at 8 years old.
That is an interesting story, Shiraz. I never heard that. Is this the first time you're telling this story?
I've told it on occasion. It doesn't come up that often, though. But no one
Oh,
says
it's
when was the first time. They usually say, what was the catalyst to create energetic magic? And that's a whole different story.
I like hearing about that when you were 8. So that was your epiphany experience, we might say,
Yeah.
right? Laurie, I don't want to hog the floor. Did you have any questions for Shiraz before I continue?
I have one. So everyone has, this is the Gratitude Girl show, right? So, and everyone has lots of things in their life that they're thankful and grateful for. But I was wondering if you could just share one story. Think of something that you're grateful and thankful for, and then just kind of tell us the story behind it.
The one that's coming up now, there's so many, but the one that's coming up is, I'm grateful that the first woman I ever loved dumped me. And it's because, like, it devastated me. I was done in for months and 19 years old. And I thought I'd never love again. I didn't want to get my heart broken ever again. But when I look back at it years later, I realized, oh my God, she was right to dump me, because I had made the relationship all about me. And we were hanging out with my friends. We're doing what I wanted. We rarely did anything she wanted to do. And by dumping me, she taught me that that was bad behavior. And I treated girlfriends differently after that, because I wanted to make sure that I never got dumped again. And you know, it didn't register. My behavior changed, but it didn't register why till years and years ahead. And now I look back and I go, oh, thank you so much. Because if she had stayed with me, we'd be in a horrible relationship to this day. And I think I could get away with doing whatever I want, and that's okay. Yeah. So that's what's coming up right now.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It's made me think about a few things. Behavior that we get away with, you mentioned. So share a little bit about how we convince ourselves that we're so entitled to continue a behavior and get away with it.
It's usually just programming, and that you, oftentimes with the parents, they let you get away with it. And then you believe that, well, that's acceptable wherever I go. And you just repeat that behavior. And if other people let you get away with it, some of them, like, they don't like it, but they're like, oh, I'll put up with it. And they don't realize they're still teaching you a bad lesson. And so you keep going. And the neat thing is, once you can get into that story, then you'll start to hang around people that let you get away with it. So it perpetuates the story. And it'll just keep going on and on. And you won't know you're annoying people to the level you're annoying it, because they're not saying anything, they're putting up with it, until one day it may not, but oftentimes it comes and it smacks you in the face because you're behaving that way with just the wrong person. And then reality just comes home.
So thank you for explaining that. When you talk about shifting reality, I have a bit of a question about that, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
When you work with people and you have your clients and you're shifting, or you're helping them to shift their reality, how does that feel for you? And I wanted to relate that to a gratitude story. How does that feel for you? And is there one particular story where you can share how you got as much out of it as the client did?
Okay, again, a few of them. One recent one, I was working with a client, and she was putting on an event, online event, and she wanted, oh, excuse me, she wanted 3,000 people to show up for the event. And I had just attended an event with like 7 of the people from The Secret, and they had about a 3,000 person turnout. And she's not that famous. And I'm thinking, how are you expecting 3,000 people to come out for this? And it's 2 days before the event. And she said, I've only got 1,000 people registered. And I was still impressed. Wow, you've got 1,000 people. I've been putting on events, and biggest ones I've been to about 500 people. And you're at 1,000. So we started to work on her beliefs around what could go wrong on the event, because every time you're trying to avoid something going wrong, you create restrictions, you create contraction. And I started helping her release that, how she could look up on stage, being judged by people up on stage. And it was an online event, but it was still, there was a stage area set up and everything. And looking stupid by interviewing experts was a big fear for her. We cleared all that. And this 2 days before the event. And when the event came, 8,000 people showed up for that event. And it blew my mind, because it's like, oh my God, she's operating beyond what I would operate. Like, I would have restricted myself, and she's not. And then she came back to me the next month. She goes, I want to do it again, but I want to go beyond 8,000. And at that point, I'm like, okay, let's go beyond 8,000. Let's see how far we can get. And she got 14,000 people to show up. And it really taught me. I was like, wow, I know I'm playing big, like bigger than I was, but there's still a level beyond that I can just jump to, that she did in like 2 days. And I do this every day. I should be able to just break barriers. And I've started doing that since that time, which was like a month ago.
Oh, amazing. That's so good to hear. Now, what happens when someone wants to shift their reality and says, it didn't work. I didn't do it. I couldn't do it. What does that mean?
There's 2 things. Number one, you didn't actually want to shift what you came up and told me you wanted to shift. And that means that wherever you are feels safer. It feels important. You have to stay there. And people have done this where they go through the motions, whether it's coming to me or a life coach or a psychiatrist or whoever can help you. You don't actually want to shift, but you want to show the world, look, I'm trying. I'm going to these people. I'm seeing them. And so that way, when it fails, it's like, well, it's not my fault. I went to them. They just weren't good enough. They just couldn't solve the problem. And so there are those people that are out there that are just fake looking for help. And some of them know they're doing it, but a lot of them don't. They don't know how attached they are to it. So they're going through the motions and just not getting results. But there's also people that get the shift and then undo it, right? Because you're actually addicted to your current reality. So sometimes when I shift people, not even sometimes, a lot of times when I shift people, they have the shift, reality changes, but they're so uncomfortable in the new reality that they shift back to the old reality. And it's amazing what can happen. I had one guy tell me everything used to go wrong all the time. Something would go wrong every week, if not every day. And we got to the core belief and shifted it. And then he calls me 3 weeks later and he says, so this is what happened. After our session, nothing went wrong. For weeks, nothing went wrong. And the longer nothing went wrong, the more anxiety built up in me because I'm so used to something going wrong. And then finally something went wrong and I went, oh, like it was just this relief.
Like, thank goodness, now I know what to do with that.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. He knows what to do with that. He didn't know what to do with the other thing. And so you go back to what you know, even if what you know sucks. So
we hold on to it.
Yeah, and that's why I like to work with people on a regular basis because they'll shift and they'll try to pull back but then I'll work on them and they'll stay there and they'll try to pull back a little and I keep working on them until finally, okay, this new reality is now comfortable. I'm good here. I'll stay here. And then I say, now let's do it again. And even a little better. But that's the process most people go through. Some people can do it. I had one client, we did one session, and then she didn't talk to me for 3 months. And she called me 3 months later. She goes, so sorry I didn't contact you, but since the session, I quit my job, dumped my boyfriend, got rid of my place, and now I'm working in a wellness center in Costa Rica, and I've never been happier. So thank you. I was just like, what?
That's action for you, Shiraz.
Yeah. But
right.
He's an outlier. Most people, we have to hit it. So.
Well, that's so cool to hear. Okay, so I have a whole bunch of questions to ask you, but I want to be able to do something that we do in every show, and that is give the show over to you for Tad, so to speak, and have you ask, so this is unrehearsed for our audience who's watching, ask Laurie and I both a question and just let us know who you're speaking to first so we can respond, please.
Okay. So let's start with Laurie. Laurie, what would have to happen between you, for you between now and this time next year for you to be in this sort of euphoric place of gratitude for the Gratitude Girl show?
For the Gratitude Girl show.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. That's a hard one because I really love our show. I do really love where we are at. I mean, we've been doing the same thing for 8 years now, but I love what we do. I love all the people that we attract.
Okay. And I know obviously you're very grateful for the show, but would there be something there? Like, would there be a certain people you'd love to interview, or would there be a certain number of listeners that you'd like to have? Or what would be something you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened and I'm so grateful for it?
I would just, we've had so many people that have told us because they listened to our show with a certain speaker that had a situation in their life that they compared it to and it helped them. And so I just want more of that.
Okay.
Making that difference in the world for people, that's for good, and that's helping them to get to the position to where they want to be.
that impact of the show on people's lives to get them in a wonderful place of gratitude.
Yes.
Okay, I like it. Okay, and Rara, I can give you the same question, but then you've had time to think, so I'm going to give you a different question. So, what are your big plans for 2021?
My plans are to travel
To
Africa.
okay, any particular?
I want to travel across the world.
Okay,
My plan is to go with my husband and travel across the world.
nice. And there's Africa. Is there any place in particular you want to see, or is there something you want to do on your travels?
Have the mindset that time is not of the essence. Have the mindset that when it feels good, stay longer. That we're already over here, so why not go over there? Why not keep going? And so that would mean that the rest of our life would need to be very carefree, so that as we are going across the world, I also want to go to Italy and I want to see different things. So when we're on a plane or on a boat or on a train, say, well, let's just keep going because we're this far. And I just spoke to someone and they said, like, this is really beautiful. So that sort of laissez-faire approach seems to be very fitting for where I've been working since I'm 16 and I'm 62. And at this point, I can work from any phone, iPad, or laptop. So there's really no restrictions.
Mhm.
Any restrictions would be the one in my head.
So basically every was it fourth Tuesday of the month, you'd be doing the show from a different country. So
Laurie and I said that when we started the show, that we would travel the world and do the Gratitude Girls show. And every week I do have other commitments and other things that I push out, and I can do that from anywhere in the world as well. I have a podcast every week, and I can just do this, not just to take away the word just. We can do this. Laurie could be anywhere. Laurie has done the show from different parts of the world. We've been together, we've been separate on different vacations, and if we could just keep doing that, take away the word just. We can keep doing that. And that was our dream when we came together. The first thing we said was travel the world and do the show.
nice.
Thank you for asking.
Welcome.
Yeah, you brought us right back to what we said, right, Laurie? We've said that in so many shows from the first year even to this year. You know, it's great to have a question that brings you back to your core purpose. Yes, this is what I said I wanted to do before, and this is what I enjoy doing. And in my head, I'm still traveling. Physically, we may not be doing that right now, but I still can bring myself out there in my mind. So tell us a little bit. Thank you for that trip for both of us. Tell us a little bit about what really ticks you off.
What ticks me off?
Yeah.
Not a lot anymore. There used to be a bunch of things, but as I keep going in this journey, I get into bit more and more acceptance of people and their attitudes, and it's more like amusement now when someone's doing something really bad or really weird. And I had a client recently that he would send me texts and they would basically be trying to tell me what to do, right? So it would be like, what was one of them? I was giving people that bought a course a half-hour private session with me, and I said, you'll get a link so you can set it up, and and here's the dates. And it was funny because on that call, I was joking about how I don't work on Fridays for anyone. Those are my days off, because sometimes I teach courses on the weekends. So if you need to see me on a Friday, that's just not your day. And he sent me this text about the half-hour session. He goes, I'd like to schedule mine for December 24th or December 25th. And I'm like, okay, so not only is that Christmas Eve and Christmas, but Christmas is a Friday. And I just looked at it and went, oh, really? So,
Some people just don't get it, Shiraz.
yeah. But,
So what'd you do?
well, I mean, I sent back just one word, no. And that was end of that discussion.
That was clear.
Yeah. But it was just so amusing to me. And there was a time where I would have just gone off and been like, what the hell, who does he think he is? But I was just sort of laughing. I'm going, oh, I see. He doesn't feel like he's in control enough. So he tries to express that by doing that. And that's just where he is right now. So I just laughed either.
Is that like a little puppy that keeps barking?
Him?
Not yours, but
No.
a puppy.
A puppy, yes.
Yes, a puppy that keeps barking. So let me ask you, I want to say like one more question, but I can ask you two more because I'm going to ask Laurie if she has a question for you. Where do you see yourself for 2021 and what are the big plans?
2021, it's the expansion of my program. It's helping more and more people. And I've just got an offer, and I can't say it's official yet or who it's with, but if everything goes well, I'm going to be helping a lot of people get through the trauma of human trafficking. So I'm really looking forward to being a part of that. And it's really going to change the way things go. And I love the impact it's going to have. That's the big thing for me right now coming up.
The impact, yeah. Wow, that is big. Make sure that we stay close and hear your news. Laurie, did you have a question for Shiraz?
Yeah, no, that was good. That was going to be my question. He answered it before I asked it. So how about that? But yeah, of, making the difference, that's kind of what my question was going to be is, what difference do you want to make in this dash that you're here, that you have left, and so that is so huge to be able to do that. I have met a girl that was involved in that many years ago and was freed from it. And she told us her story. It was she wasn't my friend, but one of my friends, it was her sister. She actually got abducted when she was a young teenager and then, got free from it like in her 30s. And so just the story was incredible. And I could not imagine what some of these girls go through.
Yeah. And it's just something that just showed up in the last couple of days. But when I heard the opportunity, I'm like, oh, I'd love to help with that. And so, as I said, it's not finalized yet. We have to make sure everything's aligned properly. But as soon as it popped up, I'm like, oh God, yes, let's do that. So, yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Shiraz, where do you go when you have to align yourself? Do you go to you?
I go to me. There's various things. Sometimes I will go to a friend and just, whether it's physically or just get on the phone with them and get out of it. But most of the times it's cuddle with my dog or listen to some music and dance and sing or put something on that's really, really funny and just start laughing. But but this is also, it's complementary because one thing I've learned is if you're out of it, you don't just try to shrug it off and get feeling good again. You have to go through those emotions. You've got to release them fully and then move out. And since I've learned to do that, they come out so much easier. And it's not that the impact of the emotions is any easier. Like if I'm angry, I'm really angry. And if I'm sad, I'm like ready to cry or crying. But there's no holding back. It just flows out. And then I shift back into that happiness state. And I know a lot of people hold it back and they think they're not supposed to be this upset or Or some people hold on to it and they get angry and they go talk to every single person they know and stay angry for person after person after person. And so it's one way or the other. And the balance in that middle there is just let it out and move on. Works so much better.
That's such good advice that you take for yourself and what you give to others. I'm going to ask one more question. I'm looking at the time. So yeah, I had a great experience with you. And I have the pleasure of seeing you every week. And that's in a social online setting. And I watch the faces of people when you speak, and when I've attended your webinars, and I listen to like what you say, but when you're talking, I'm watching people's faces, right? Because maybe you're not able to do that. And I'm looking at some of the amazement that people have, and they're really not like sure of what's happening. And you sometimes cough when people are talking and you explain that something is going through you. Can you explain what that process is when something is going through you, in case, well, someone here might work with you and you'll explain it yourself, but what does that mean? What physically goes through your body?
So basically it's an awareness of the shifts of energy around me. And my body just reacts to it. And I don't know why it does that, but yawning and coughing is basically how my body says energy is moving. Look at the energy move. And I have to warn people, because I've had people say, oh my God, am I hurting you because you're coughing so much? And I'm like, no, you're shifting a lot. And this is just the indication that you're shifting a lot. And I do this every day, client after client. And if it was really bad for me, I would have lost my lungs by now, but I'm good. Right? So, and the thing is, a lot of people also get this idea that their energy is affecting me, it's going through me, and that's why I'm coughing. But the way I've set up energetic magic is that when I work on someone, they're over there and they're getting work done, and I'm over here. So I don't take on any of their crap and they don't take on any of my crap. It's very, very clean. But the awareness of the energy shifts just caused me to cough. And it's just the awareness, not any mixing of energy between me and someone else. And it's neat because I've been doing that since before I started doing energetic magic. It would just come up, like I'd be talking to someone, I'd start coughing. I'm like, why the hell am I coughing? And then later on I realized, oh, that person started shifting from the conversation we were having, and I didn't even realize it. And my body went into reaction. And so now it's neat to know what's going on. Right? So
It's also very neat to watch when you're speaking and people looking at you and their reaction. Well, I will ask you, you've spent some time here with Laurie and I tonight, you're hanging out with us. What is the energy that you feel between us, all three of us?
it's very, very calm tonight. Like it's very grounded and you're really quiet for some reason, which I find weird, because with your energy is really usually bubbly and crackly, and I'm like, Lara's really calm tonight. What's going on?
Okay, that's what happens at 9:30 and 10 o'clock, because normally we're together at 10 a.m. There's a 12-hour difference. So 12 hours later, for me to sustain that, see, I just sort of chill out. At 2 in the morning, I start to wake up again.
Okay.
Oh, no, that's true. And you know that because we were actually communicating last night, and right. So there's a turnaround time.
Yeah, your energy was quite different last night at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Wasn't it? Exactly. So this is like the wind down, the wind up, just hang out longer. You'll watch it happen again. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Shiraz. I really appreciate you sharing your personal stories and how you help people, and wow, how you're going to help people, and the possibilities that come to you and that go through you. Anybody who wants to connect with you, we have show notes up, but is there anything special that you want to tell them about how they can reach you?
So to reach me, the easiest way is for people that can see it. There's shirazshifts.com. And that's
Okay.
my digital business card. You'll have access to my Facebook, LinkedIn, my website, and you can even book a breakthrough call with me so you can experience what I do.
Okay.
And I think the big thing right now for me is I'm doing an event on New Year's Eve called Clearing the Negative Energies of 2020, which I feel a lot of people need. And you can sign up for that. And I will actually give my code to you guys for letting me be on the show. If you use code NYE, New Year's Eve, NYE 2020 MAGIC, then you can get into general admission for free. And I would hope people show up and have a good time. We've already got over 100 people registered for the event, and it's double by the time we do it. So,
Well, thank you for your generosity. I'm registered. I'll be there. It's
Yeah.
1 o'clock in the afternoon, 1 to 4. And do we have to dress up? Any dress code?
no dress code. Come as you are. Come in PJs if you want.
Awesome.
Just gonna have-
Awesome. Okay, this is amazing. This is fantastic. And now we can invite everyone from all over the world because we're all going to be home. Right. Shiraz, this is fun. This is really fun. I thoroughly enjoy speaking with you, and Laurie and I are so grateful that you're here with us tonight, sharing your energetic magic with us and your friendship. And that means a lot, to develop a friendship and for you to agree to come on our show at this time of year, but so appropriate. I was going to say apropos, so appropriate, right? That we could facilitate like this just before New Year's Eve. I thought, I really wanted people to hear about your magic. And then when I heard about your events, just seemed like, wow, that was great. Meant to be.
It
I
is.
think things
So
are
much
meant
for
to
having me
be.
on the show. It's great to be here. It was fun.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And anybody that has any questions or any guests that want to connect with you, they can go to gratitudegirls.com and take a look at different ways. I'll let Laurie talk about this. Laurie, would you like to give us our closing comments? And Shiraz, thank you. I really appreciate you. Hang out with us for a few more minutes, please.
Yes, if you'd like to send us a message, if you'd like to be like Shiraz and be on one of the shows with us, go to facebook.com/gratitudegirls and hit message right there. That sends a message to Kathryn and I both together at the same time. Give us your gratitude story. Tell us why and when you would like to be with us, and give us your contact information, and we will get back with you. Also, you can see Shiraz's show as well as the last 8 years of all our wonderful guests at gratitudegirls.com. You can do a search there also that'll pull up all the different guests. If you know someone, you can do a search by their name. And we will see you then next Tuesday night, 8:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. I always do this and I'm messing it up now. 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, 7:30 Mountain, and 6:30 Pacific.
Thank you, Laurie. Thank you, Shiraz. And leaving on a fun note and laughing, right? So my heart to yours. Thank you to our audience for being here. Merry Christmas. And well, we'll see you before next year. Oh, no, we won't. We'll see you next year.
Yes. Good
Great.
night, everyone.
Good night. Ciao.